Hey everyone, Metagross Freak here. Today I'm taking a look at Transformers The Last Night Decepticon Nitro. I wasn't actually sure this figure would be released in the States because it's been so hard to find new figures. Toys R Us and Target are barely, and I mean barely, rolling out any new figures at all. And I actually was lucky enough to find this at my local Walmart. But yeah, here we have Nitro. Nitro is, or as he's also known, Nitro Zeus, is an interesting combination of characters. Visually, he's designed based on Age of Extinction's KSI Boss, which were kind of the lieutenants under Galvatron in Age of Extinction. In fact, that's what his 3D model is, both on the cover and on the side here. That's a KSI Boss. That is actually not Nitro. And the biggest giveaway for that is the head. You know, you definitely see, like, it has like 4 or 6 eyes, and he has these long horizontal horns. This head, however, is a lot more Shockwave-like, and the reason behind that is basically Nitro is kind of Shockwave's brother, kind of in the same way that Six Shot was Shockwave, I guess technically he was Shock Blast, but Shockwave's brother in the Energon cartoon. Personality-wise, he has more in common with Thundercracker. He's very boisterous, very loud and distracting, but he fills in a similar role on Megatron's team as Starscream, basically acting kind of like Megatron's lieutenant in that movie. And Megatron even kind of like does the whole alas poor Yorick thing with Starscream's head, kind of implying that Megatron's moved on from Starscream, and that Nitro, who's the only Decepticon to last with Megatron to the final battle, that he's kind of taken his place. Unfortunately, Nitro does die fairly easily, but the point is that other than Megatron, Nitro made it to the final battle when none of the other the Decepticons introduced in the Suicide Squad like opening, like I don't even remember all their names. They were just such forgettable characters, like Mohawk. The only reason I even remember Mohawk is because his name is so obvious. Like, Mohawk doesn't even get a toy. Nitro gets a toy. But yeah, I found this at my Walmart along with his wavemate, Scorn. I didn't really have any interest in getting Scorn, but I definitely wanted to get Nitro. I've heard this is kind of a complicated transformation, so hopefully it won't take me too long. Let's get this open. So here's Nitro out of the packaging. He did come with these two, they're not really sprues, but these two little missile pack things. Those come with a 5mm peg, so I guess technically you could have them being held in the hands, but that's how they're displayed on the instruction booklet. He's got some nice big feet, but because of the stiffness of his ankles, it's kind of hard to get them into a position where he can stand easily. And if you're noticing, he's got a lot of wibbly wobbly in the head. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to show off the scaling first. I usually save scale for last, but I want to show off a little bit of scale. Here he is next to Voyager Megatron from the movie. You can see they're about the same height. Maybe Megatron, maybe like a sliver taller. These look really good together. I mean, obviously Nitro is not in a cool dynamic pose, but if you had him in a cool pose next to Megatron, they would look awesome on a shelf together. And just because I mentioned it, and because they have almost very similar heads, here he is with Shockwave from Dark of the Moon. You can see Nitro is definitely taller, but Shockwave has more kind of bulk to him and a lot less kibble. And that's one thing that's kind of apparent on Nitro, is he has a lot of kibble. I mean, look at that. He has the whole tail of his plane and these giant engines, which are actually his wings folded up quite cleverly. I really appreciate that. But yeah, he's just got a lot of kibble. I mean, look at this whole arm. This whole arm here, this whole weapon cockpit thing doesn't detach. And his wrist, the hand here has no articulation. So kind of similar to Shockwave, he has a gun arm, except it doesn't, except his hand is basically useless. Though this plastic here, of course, for safety reasons, is a little bit softer. He does have the cool arm wrist cannon that Megatron has, and his fist can fold up, though not as easily as you'd expect, but it does fold up, so you can get the cool wrist cannon thing that like Megatron and Shockwave have going on. Time to talk about his head. So his head is very wiggly waggly, and the reason behind that is because in a deleted scene, Cogman is referred to. He's referred to in the movie as a headmaster. But other than a shout out to Transformers lore, this didn't really go anywhere. He was originally supposed to like rip off Nitro's head and pilot him like a headmaster would, and that's why the head of Cogman is a headmaster. But the head of Nitro can unplug, and if you look, it doesn't have any molding really, but it is a standard headmaster. It's just he doesn't have any arms or legs. It is basically just the headmaster joint, and strangely enough, he has some clear light piping. That's bizarre, but anyway, yeah, this works with other headmasters. So here I have Skytread, with the Skytread, aka flywheels, and I can just plug that in to give him a new head. So that's kind of cool. I mean, if you're a fan of headmasters, or if you just don't like the knockoff Shockwave head, that's not too. You can do stuff like this. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, I wouldn't use this head because this is brown and pink. But I mean, if you had another silver or gray or black head, you could probably come up with something really cool. So here's Nitro in vehicle mode. He turns into a pretty nice looking jet. I don't believe it is a specific style or type of jet, since it's just kind of a jet plane of like undetermined brand, since there's like no markings or any kind of branding on it. So I'm going to assume that, like Megatron, it's kind of a futuristic-looking plane. This is pretty cool. Similar to Blitzwing, his wings are made up of little panels that can fold and bend a little bit. Those made up of those big kind of jet cannons on his back. I think it works a little bit better for him since his aren't as, well, floppy. Though he does have these just the weird jet engine pieces on the bottom. That's kind of bizarre. As you can see, his legs make up a majority of his vehicle mode here. The missile pieces, the missiles do plug into the underside of the wings, helping to hide some of the boxiness of the jet behind it. The wing, I wasn't able to get mine to transform just right, so unfortunately it doesn't all, like as you can see here, it doesn't all fold perfectly flush and flat, but I did the best I could. It's a rather nice jet mode, though you do see all the leg kind of hanging off the back. And from the underside, it's kind of egregious. Though, interestingly enough, the little machine gun turrets on the shoulders, which are kind of more just an unnecessary detail, act a little bit like landing gear. They stick up just enough that when you flip out the landing gear on his right arm, you can balance him like that. And that looks pretty good. That would look pretty nice on a shelf. The tail wings back here are adjustable, though I don't really know why you would need to do that. I didn't need to adjust them for transformation, though it is kind of cool that the little top tail fin folds flat either way for the transformation. As an added bonus, I found out the cockpit does open. As you can see, it is hollow. You just have to get a little thing here. I have this is a scraper tool that I repurposed to use to open letters and stuff. Yeah, the cockpit opens, and you can, just like with his head, you can put a Titan Master in here. Albeit it is a little bit of a tight fit. You have to like basically go legs first, but yeah, I mean, he can fit a Titan Master in his cockpit, and it closes, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, you can definitely. I feel like this particular mold was designed for a Titan's Return character, and they ended up canceling it and then reusing it for Nitro. Because if you're familiar with the actual Nitro from the movie, The Last Night, he doesn't turn into this. I mean, he does turn into a jet, but his jet mode looks fairly different. So I think it was more that they repurposed a mold that got canceled. Albeit it's a good mold. It's a nice mold, though the transformation scheme is a little convoluted. For comparison, here is Nitro. Try to get them to all fit on the screen. Compared to this 2007 Seeker mold. Nitro is longer, mostly because he actually has a real tail this time around. He has a real tail. Definitely not as bulky. You know, Starscream has the big, ugly cannon hands. And this folds up pretty dang well. I would say that if they remolded this into like Starscream, or if you just replaced the head with a Starscream head, that Nitro could make a fairly decent Starscream if you wanted to. For another comparison, here he is again with Shockwave. Obviously, Shockwave folds up far more compactly. That's mostly because Shockwave's legs are hollow. And, you know, he doesn't have flip-out wings. If you fold the wings up, like I'm going to do here, if you fold the wings up, you'll see that the vehicle modes are actually roughly about the same size. Give or take, even if I remove the cannon, even if I remove Shockwave's cannon, there we go. You can see that the vehicle modes are roughly the same size. It's just these wings up here that make Nitro appear so much larger. So this is actually rather nice, especially considering he wasn't even really that important of a character to the plot. He got a pretty nice figure. I would recommend buying it if you could, and if you can find it, because he especially looks really great with the Last Night Megatron. I've been Metagross Freak, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.